You ever get that feeling after a conversation that you gave away too much, and now someone has a map to your own mind? You probably blame yourself for being too open, but the truth is, you were being read long before you ever said a word. We are going to walk through the quiet rules of this hidden game so you can learn to protect your own thoughts and regain control. There's a quiet moment that happens to many of us. Maybe it was in a meeting at work. You shared an idea with passion, your excitement clear for everyone to see. The next day, you watch someone else present your idea, using your passion against you by framing you as too emotional while they seem calm and logical. Or maybe it was more personal. You confide in a friend about a secret insecurity, showing a moment of weakness. Later, in a small argument, they use that exact insecurity to land a hurtful comment. In that moment, you feel a cold sting. It's the feeling of being seen, but not in a good way. It's the feeling of being understood just enough to be hurt. You gave away a piece of yourself, freely and with trust, and it was picked up and used like a tool. You thought you were having a conversation, but you were in a quiet transaction. You were giving away information, and they were taking it. What if you could learn to see these transactions happening? What if you could learn to participate in the world, to be present and engaged, without handing over the keys to your own mind? Before we talk about how to protect yourself, we need to understand what we're up against. And it's not always an enemy. It's something built deep inside the human brain. Our minds are designed to be efficient. We have to process millions of pieces of information every single day. To do this, the brain creates shortcuts. It learns to recognize patterns. Think about driving a car. When you first learned, you had to think about every single action. Your hands on the wheel, your foot on the pedal, checking the mirrors. It was exhausting. Now, you probably drive without thinking much about it at all. Your brain has created a pattern, a mental shortcut that runs on autopilot. Our brains do the same thing with people. When we meet someone, our mind quickly tries to sort them into a category. Are they friendly? Are they a threat? Are they confident? Are they insecure? It does this by looking for small clues. Your tone of voice, your body language, the words you choose. This is what some thinkers, like the psychologist Daniel Kahneman, call System 1 thinking. It's fast, it's automatic, and it's mostly unconscious. It's the part of your brain that makes snap judgments. When someone listens to you talk about your hopes, they're not just hearing your words. Their brain is running a silent program, matching your tone to patterns it has seen before. When you react to a surprise, their brain files away that reaction. It's building a map of you. This system isn't evil. It's a survival tool. It helped our ancestors quickly decide who to trust and who to run from. In the modern world, it helps us navigate complex social situations without getting overwhelmed. But this same tool can be used against you. People who have a good natural sense of these patterns can learn to predict how you will act. They learn what makes you happy, what makes you angry, what makes you scared. They learn your personal patterns. And once someone can predict you, they hold a certain power over you. They know which buttons to push to get the reaction they want. This isn't about some grand conspiracy. It happens in offices, in families, and in friendships every single day. It's a natural part of how humans interact. The first step to protecting yourself is to realize that this system exists. You are being read, not because the world is always hostile, but because the human brain is a pattern-matching machine. Hundreds of years ago, a man in Italy named Niccol Machiavelli sat down and wrote about this very idea. History has often painted Machiavelli as a teacher of evil, a man who believed the ends always justify the means. But it's more useful to see him as a realist. He wasn't telling people how the world should be. He was describing how it actually was. He was a political analyst, and his job was to observe the mechanics of power. Machiavelli lived in a time of great instability. Princes and rulers rose and fell overnight. Alliances were made and broken in the same day. In this world, survival depended on understanding people's true motivations, not just their public words. Machiavelli's great insight was that power was not just about armies and money. It was about information. He saw that leaders who were predictable were always the first to fall. If their enemies knew how they would react, they could set perfect traps. If their friends knew their weaknesses, they could betray them at the most painful moment. His warning was simple and timeless. The moment you become an open book, you give up your ability to act freely. If someone knows what you truly want, they can dangle it in front of you to lead you wherever they please. If they know what you fear, they can use that fear to paralyze you. This is why his writings have been studied for centuries by leaders, generals, and anyone who wants to understand the quiet currents of influence that run beneath the surface of our daily lives. We are not here to learn how to be cruel or heartless. We are here to look at Machiavelli's ideas through a modern lens, as a form of defensive strategy. This is not about building walls around yourself so no one can get in. It is about understanding that in a world that is constantly trying to read you, label you, and put you in a box, a little bit of mystery is a powerful form of freedom. It is about learning to navigate the world as it is, so you can protect your inner self and choose when and to whom you reveal it. His diagnosis was that the world runs on patterns and predictions. His advice, then, is to become the one thing the world can never fully predict. Once you accept that people are always trying to read you, the next question is what to do about it. The answer is not to become a hermit or to treat everyone with suspicion. The answer is to build a kind of inner strength, a fortitude that allows you to be in the world but not be consumed by it. This strength is built on 4 distinct pillars. Pillar 1, the discipline of emotional stillness. Our emotions are the most powerful signals we send out to the world. A flicker of anger, a sigh of disappointment, a blush of embarrassment. These are pure data. They tell the person watching you exactly what affects you. To master your inner world, you must learn to create a space between what you feel and what you show. This is the discipline of emotional stillness. This idea is not new. The ancient Stoic philosophers spoke about it 2,000 years ago. They taught that we cannot control the events that happen to us, but we can always control our response to them. This is where true power lies. If someone insults you and you become angry, you have let them control your emotional state. You have reacted exactly as they predicted. But if someone insults you and you respond with calm observation, you break the pattern. You have kept your power. Emotional stillness does not mean you become a robot, empty of feelings. On the contrary, you feel everything just as you do now. The difference is that you don't immediately broadcast those feelings to the world. You hold them, you observe them, and you decide what to do with them. When you receive a compliment, you can feel the warmth without letting it make you desperate for more praise. When you face a setback, you can feel the disappointment without letting it crush your resolve in front of others. You become a calmer, more stable presence. People will find it harder to get a rise out of you. They will stop trying to provoke you because it no longer works. Your emotional state becomes your own private business. You share it when you choose, with people you trust. For the rest of the world, you present a calm surface. Not cold, not unfriendly, just still. Like a deep lake, your surface may be calm, but underneath, there is great depth. Pillar 2, the art of pattern interruption. As we discussed, the human brain is a pattern-matching machine. It loves to predict what will happen next. This is true in big ways and in small ways. Most people live their lives in very predictable patterns. If you praise them, they soften. If you challenge them, they get defensive. If you ignore them, they seek your attention. These are standard human scripts. The art of pattern interruption is learning to act off-script. This is a subtle but powerful tool. It's not about being loud or dramatic. It's about making small, unexpected moves that disrupt other people's expectations of you. For example, imagine you are in a tense negotiation. The other person makes an aggressive demand, fully expecting you to argue back and defend your position. That's the pattern. Instead of arguing, you pause, look at them calmly, and say, "That's an interesting point. Tell me more about why you think that's fair." You have just broken the pattern. Their brain, which was ready for a fight, is now forced to stop and recalibrate. In that moment of confusion, the balance of power shifts. Here's another example. If someone is used to you being very talkative and always filling the silence, try being quiet. Let the silence hang in the air. Their pattern-matching brain will feel the void, and they will rush to fill it, often revealing more than they intended. If someone is used to you being serious, a moment of unexpected, lighthearted humor can completely change the dynamic of a conversation. The goal is not to be chaotic or random. It's about being intentional. You observe the pattern that is expected of you, and you choose to do something slightly different. This makes you hard to read. People can no longer put you on autopilot. They have to pay attention. They can't be sure what you'll do next, so they have to be more careful. By breaking their patterns of expectation, you force them to deal with you as you are in the moment, not with the mental model they have of you. This gives you a quiet control over your interactions. Pillar 3. The gravity of silence. In our noisy world, we often think of power as being loud. The person who talks the most, who has the quickest answers, seems to be in charge. But there is a different kind of power, a heavier and more profound power that comes from silence. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is an active, powerful tool. When you learn to be comfortable with silence, you give yourself an incredible advantage. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with it. In a conversation, if a pause lasts for more than a couple of seconds, they rush to fill it with words. They chatter, they explain, they fidget. In their rush to end the silence, they often say more than they should. They reveal their anxieties, their true positions, and their weaknesses. Imagine you ask someone a difficult question. You ask the question, and then you wait. You don't offer any help. You don't rephrase it. You just look at them, calmly and expectantly. The silence creates a vacuum, and their mind will scramble to fill it. They are more likely to give you an honest, unguarded answer than if you had pressed them with more words. In a negotiation, after you've stated your price, the most powerful thing you can do is to be quiet. Let the other person be the first to speak. More often than not, their discomfort with the silence will lead them to negotiate with themselves. Using silence is not about being passive. It is an active choice. It communicates confidence. It says, "I am so comfortable in my position that I do not need to fill the air with nervous chatter. I can wait." This makes other people uneasy. It makes them wonder what you are thinking. They project their own fears and insecurities into your silence. This takes practice. The urge to speak, to explain, to smooth things over is strong. But if you can master it, you will find that you can dominate a conversation without saying much at all. You let other people defeat themselves with their own words. Silence has a gravity to it. It pulls the truth out of people. Pillar 4. The deliberate narrative. If you do not tell the world who you are, it will tell you. People will project their own ideas, fears, and biases onto you. They will label you. She's too ambitious. He's not a leader. She's naive. Once a label sticks, it is very hard to remove. The fourth pillar of inner fortitude is learning to control your own story. This is the art of the deliberate narrative. This is not about creating a fake personality or telling lies. It is about being conscious and intentional about what you choose to share with the world. Think of yourself as the curator of a museum. The museum is you. You cannot put everything you own on display. It would be a cluttered mess. Instead, you carefully select the pieces that best represent the story you want to tell. The rest you keep in storage, safe and sound. In your daily life, this means you are polite, but perhaps a little distant. You are friendly, but not overly familiar. You can share opinions, but you don't need to share your deepest held beliefs with everyone you meet. You can talk about your work, but you don't need to reveal your ultimate career ambitions. You create a persona that is consistent, reliable, and respected, but that protects your core. For example, at work, your deliberate narrative might be that you are calm, competent, and helpful. You do your work well. You are pleasant to your colleagues. You don't engage in office gossip. You don't complain about your boss. This persona is professional and strong. It gives people nothing to use against you. Your private thoughts, your frustrations, your dreams, those are kept for your private life, for the people you truly trust. By creating a deliberate narrative, you set the terms of how you are seen. People will learn what to expect from you, but what they expect is the story you have chosen to tell. They interact with the persona you have crafted. Your true self, your inner world, remains untouched and unjudged. It is a space that belongs only to you. This is not dishonest. It is wise. It is the recognition that not everyone has earned the right to know all of you. At this point, a question might be rising in your mind. Is this all just a guide to becoming a cold, manipulative person? When does protecting yourself turn into paranoia? When does strategy become a justification for treating people poorly? This is the most important question we can ask. Without a strong ethical compass, these tools can become toxic. The line between self-preservation and manipulation is drawn with one simple word: intent. What is your reason for using these strategies? Is your intent to protect your own mind, your own peace, and your own path from those who would take advantage of you? Or is your intent to dominate, control, and harm others for your own gain? The tools may be the same, but the intent changes everything. Using emotional stillness to stop a bully from getting a reaction out of you is self-preservation. Using it to stonewall a loving partner who is trying to connect with you is cruel. Using pattern interruption to throw a manipulative negotiator off their game is a smart defense. Using it to confuse and gaslight a friend is emotional abuse. This framework is not meant for your most trusted relationships. With your family, your partner, and your closest friends, openness and vulnerability are the currencies of love and connection. Trying to be an unreadable mystery to the people who love you will only lead to loneliness and isolation. The true skill is discernment. It is the ability to read the situation and the person in front of you and decide which version of yourself to bring forward. In a safe and loving environment, you can and should be your open, authentic self. But when you are in a competitive environment, like a high-stakes negotiation, a toxic workplace, or a conversation with someone who has a history of being manipulative, then you have every right to put on your armor. You have the right to protect your thoughts, control your reactions, and guard your heart. This is not about becoming paranoid and seeing every person as a threat. That is a miserable way to live. Instead, it's about recognizing that different situations call for different approaches. It is about being a good and open person who also has the skills to be strong and guarded when necessary. It is about having a toolbox and knowing that not every situation requires a hammer. Sometimes, the most important tool is the wisdom to know when to leave the toolbox closed. True strength is not just about being strong, it's about knowing when your strength is needed. And true wisdom is knowing that your deepest self is a gift, and you should be careful about who you give it to. Theory is one thing, but how do these ideas look in the real world? Let's walk through some common situations and see how these principles can be applied in a way that is both effective and ethical. In the workplace, imagine you have a colleague who is always fishing for information. They want to know about your projects, your conversations with the boss, and your career goals. They are friendly on the surface, but you suspect they use this information for their own advantage. Using the old approach, you might either awkwardly avoid them, which makes you look rude, or you might give in and share too much, which makes you vulnerable. Using a strategic approach, you practice the deliberate narrative. You are always polite and friendly to this colleague. When they ask what you're working on, you give them a general, non-detailed answer. Oh, just the usual reports. Keeping busy. You are pleasant, but uninteresting. You also use the gravity of silence. After you answer, you ask them a question about their own work. How is that big project of yours coming along? Then you fall silent and listen. They, being eager to talk and maintain the friendly image, will likely fill the entire conversation with details about their own work, leaving no time to probe further into yours. You have protected your information, maintained a professional relationship, and learned more about them than they learned about you. In social circles, let's say you are part of a group of friends and one person has a habit of making teasing jokes that hit a little too close to home. They know your insecurities, and they use lighthearted humor to poke at them in front of others. The expected pattern is for you to either laugh along awkwardly, which validates their behavior, or to get defensive, which makes you look like you can't take a joke. Here, you use pattern interruption and emotional stillness. The next time they make a joke at your expense, you don't react with the expected emotion. You don't laugh, and you don't get angry. You simply pause for a moment, look at them with a calm, neutral expression, and say nothing. Let the silence hang for a second or two. The joke, which relied on your reaction to give it life, now falls flat. It's just a slightly mean sentence hanging in the air. After the pause, you can simply change the subject. Or, if you want to be more direct, you can ask a calm, dissecting question like, "Can you explain why that's funny?" You are not being aggressive. You are calmly breaking the social script. You are showing them, without a big confrontation, that their old pattern no longer works on you. In negotiations, think about a simple negotiation, like buying a used car. The salesperson's job is to read you. They want to know how much you love the car and how much you're willing to pay. They will use every trick to get this information. They will praise your good taste. They will create a sense of urgency. You enter the negotiation with emotional stillness. You don't let your excitement for the car show. You inspect it calmly and methodically. When you talk about price, you use the gravity of silence. You make your first offer a reasonable but low number. Then you stop talking. The salesperson will likely counter with a long explanation about the car's value and why they can't go that low. They will expect you to immediately respond with a higher offer. Instead, you just listen patiently. You let the silence stretch. Your comfort with the silence communicates that you are not in a hurry and you are not desperate. It makes them question their own position. More often than not, they will be the one to break the silence with a better offer, simply because you gave them the space to negotiate against themselves. You are not being dishonest. You are simply managing the flow of information and emotion, which is the very definition of negotiation. In all of these examples, you are not being mean, aggressive, or deceptive. You are simply being intentional. You are choosing how to respond instead of reacting on autopilot. You are a strategist in plain sight. So, we arrive at the end of this journey. We have looked into the human mind. We have listened to the warnings of a centuries-old strategist, and we have learned the pillars of a quiet kind of strength. What is the final goal of all this? Is it to win every argument? To dominate every room? To build a fortress around yourself so thick that nothing can touch you? No. The ultimate purpose of this practice is freedom. It is the freedom that comes from being the author of your own life. When you are no longer a predictable series of reactions, you are free from the low-level anxiety that comes from being constantly managed, judged, and nudged by others. You are no longer a puppet, even to the most well-meaning puppeteers. You step out of the game of expectations. The true win is not the silence you get from an opponent after a clever move. It is the silence you find inside your own mind. It is the peace that comes from knowing that your core self, your hopes, your fears, your loves, your private world, is safe. It is protected, not by high walls, but by your own wisdom and discipline. You can walk through the world, engage with it, contribute to it, and love it, all without feeling that you are giving pieces of yourself away to those who have not earned them. You don't need to be a mystery to everyone, but you do earn the right to be a mystery to anyone who would use your openness as a weapon. In a world that is obsessed with sharing every thought and feeling, you find a quiet power in choosing not to. You are not unknowable because you are hiding. You are unknowable because you are free. And that freedom is the greatest power of all.